Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks so much for joining me. Welcome to episode 10 of Vicious Whispers with Mark Tullius. Today we are doing chapter 3 of Brightside. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it so far. This chapter is a little bit shorter than the other ones. It's also one of my favorite chapters. I don't know if I should say favorite, but it's one of the ones I chose to read from when I was doing readings for this book. So hopefully you guys are going to enjoy it as well. Let's see, it's been a good week. Actually been a very good week. I got in a lot of yoga. I got a new thing to train yoga with, a feet up trainer. It's for inversions. I have a messed up shoulder and it's hard to do handstands, headstands, all that kind of stuff. So this is going to enable me to spend a lot more time doing inversions. I was able to do like a 5-minute one the other day. My shoulder feels fine. I can work on my balance. But besides that, I've been going to the Downey Yoga and doing some sessions with Anthony. So that's been good. Weights on point. Had a 23-hour fast this week. Felt good. It was so much easier than the week before. So I think that's going to be the new thing. Weekends, I don't really bother with the intermittent fasting. I still am watching what I'm eating. Throughout the week, I'm doing like 18-hour fast, and then one day a week I'll probably try to be doing 24 hours or longer, and just slowly pick that up. But I really am enjoying. I no longer have the same relationship with food. I don't need food like I used to. I'm not controlled by it, and I'm the lightest I've been since as an adult. And I just checked my body fat the other day and it's dropped 6%. So I'm pretty happy with that. Not overly concerned with where I end up. I'm just trying to be healthier and making things easier on my back and knees and all that stuff. And so that is all going well. And still no cannabis. So every day though I have that discussion. It's like, you know what? I deserve to smoke tonight or to have an edible. I don't even really smoke anymore. I used to use a bong all the time. I was getting a little bit worried about what it might be doing to my throat, lungs, all that good stuff. And so I switched to only using a vaporizer or edibles. But for all this month, I have been stopping. I think we're 20 days in right now. And so I'm hanging in there and actually enjoying it. One of the really cool things was every month I set a goal for myself. And it doesn't always be at the start of the month, but whenever I'm working on a project, I tell myself, I was like, okay, by the end of this month, I should have this many scenes done. I want to hit this. Here's my goal. Here's what I'm expecting I'll be able to do. That way I have a good idea of like, okay, what's realistic, what's unrealistic. But it generally turns out that I overestimate. And I don't finish in time, and it might take me a couple of weeks extra. But this is the very first month that I nailed it, and not only did I come in on time, but I finished 2 weeks early, and so that was with all the death scenes for Try Not to Die in Brightside. So my old thinking was that I needed the cannabis, that it really helped me with my writing, which it does. But I found out with this, no, not only did I not need it, these scenes are all solid. I felt super good about them. I was able to visualize them, very clear thinking. But I finished them way, way, way faster than I have before. So, so I'm pretty happy with that. And now, as a reward for finishing early, because I was going to jump into Beyond Brightside, that was going to be what was next. I decided to do something different. I decided to give myself a little reward. I'm going to go into some short stories. I'm not sure how many I'm going to knock out, but I was looking through them. I got out my old folder. I was looking through my short stories that I've been wanting to write. There's several that I could rewrite and probably put out for publication. But there's some new ones I want to do. One is... the original name is Stuffed, Last Will and Testament. I'm not sure of the title, but it's about a father who's died and stuffed like you would an animal. Only this dude has consciousness and he's sitting on his couch and his kids cuddled up with him, and a lot of fun stuff happens in that one. I'll be developing that this week and next week. What else do we have? There's one about a spirit, evil spirit probably. What else? A tarot card story. Oh, taking out the trash. That should be a fun one. That's an idea that's always it's ever since I could remember, I've always thought about taking out the trash equals death. It made me think about how many times I would be able to do it in my lifetime. Because there's only so many weeks. Yes, there are only so many days as well, but divide that shit by 7. And so it's just more of a finite, more of a definite number. So yeah, that's always been in my head. In this story, I'm not entirely sure. I know the character. I'm just not sure who he's telling the story to. So that one's going to be fun to figure out. And then I'm also going to do one from my No One series. It's not a series yet because I only have one of them. If you've read Twisted Reunion, you've probably heard that. It's a really short one, flash fiction. No One's Home. But this one, I have a couple different ones I'm thinking of doing. It's either No One's Home. Oh, wait, no. The first one was not No One's Home. No One's Here was the first one. So this one I'm thinking of doing is No One's Home or No One Will Love You. I have a couple other ideas. And then I probably will play with a couple other ones. Oh, and then I think I have a cop one called See That. So those are the 5 that I think I'm going to play with. Not sure what order. Last couple days, all I've been doing is marketing type stuff, advertising type stuff. Getting a little bit more serious with that, taking this shit, treating it like an actual business instead of just me pretending and writing and everything else. So yeah, just taking things a little more seriously. It's like, okay, I could dedicate one day to marketing, podcasting, all that kind of stuff. The rest of the days I will do all right. And so that's working out pretty well. But yeah, so those stories, that will be the real test of seeing how much the cannabis, do I need it to write the rest of these stories? I don't think so. I was like, I already have the kernel. I really don't think I'm going to need it. I don't think it should affect it at all, but we will find out. So I'm looking forward to knocking those out. I will let you know next week how they are going. And yeah, I know, super suspenseful, right? What else was there? Was something else. Okay. Bump, 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 bump. Oh, one thing that I was thinking about was, I believe last week I mentioned how Tom Spanbauer, when I met with him and Sage Ricci, and I did their dangerous writing workshop, I had already finished Brightside. I thought I was ready to go. I was pumped about it. I thought I was gonna get an agent, get it published. It was in 3rd person, and then I met Tom, discovered this first person writing style, really wanted to work with him on Brightside, and he said the only way he would work with me is if I turned it into first person. He thought that the story definitely would be improved first person, and I was very upset to realize that he was right. So, and it wasn't just simply switching it from he said to I said. It wasn't like that at all. The entire book pretty much was rewritten. And I think it was much, much stronger because of it. But the Goodreads question I was going to answer was why choose first person over third? First person, a lot of people don't like first person. I believe when I was writing all my short stories, they were all in 3rd person. I may have had a couple in first person. But since that experience with Tom, first person is really all I want to write. Ain't No Messiah's first person. All the books in that series definitely are. These short stories, I believe all the ones I'm going to be writing, I don't know, maybe they won't all be first person. I got to see. There's definitely limitations. I was having one of the reasons I like taking my daughter to school in the mornings is we often talk about writing. I get to bounce death scenes off of her and get ideas and say what sounds good. She's actually going to read Try Not to Die in Brightside and give me honest feedback, which is nice. I mean, she reads so much. She's fast, and I trust her opinion. She's only 10 years old, but yeah, just an incredible reader. And I know she will be brutally honest with me, which is what I need. There are a lot of people that will only tell me that they love my stuff, or yeah, it's great, blah blah blah. But she's like, that doesn't really make sense, or I don't like that. And it's like, well, I don't give a fuck. There goes your allowance. But I don't do that often. I've only done that twice. No, I don't get defensive with her, which is good. I know she only wants to help me make a better story, so we have that. But yeah, so she's gonna read that. But back to the conversation I had with her on why first person. And I don't know. I like going deep. Third person kind of feels like it's cheating. It's like, oh, he feels this way. He feels that way. She did this. She's thinking about that. I was like, I don't know. I'd rather just go deep into one person, and it's like, what is their experience? I think you could tap into. It just seems like a more genuine way into tapping into emotion, and that's kind of what I want to capture. I want to capture who this character is, not by telling you who he is, but just letting you experience him and his thoughts or hers. So there's probably a much better reason why I'm doing it, but that's what I'm sticking with right now. Sorry, this is a free podcast, so that's what you guys get. You get the short version. With Somber Stroll, all 5 of those stories were first person. That was a little bit different. I wasn't sure how people were going to take it, but I think they like them. You guys probably heard, if you listened to episodes 1 through 5, you heard all those short stories. Hopefully those worked for you. If they didn't, then hey, maybe first person isn't your deal. Not a problem. We all have our own preferences, and for sure, that's why I never get offended if I get a bad review anymore. It used to bother me. In fact, looking at my short story titles, I had an idea for the half-star killer. And I believe that was about an author that goes and kills the people that give shitty reviews. But I'm not going to write that because, everyone's got their own opinion. So I don't expect everyone to like my stuff. That'd be impossible. I definitely have, there's tons of people that I don't like their writing. It's like they might be excellent writers, but it's still not my thing. So, everyone just has their own opinion, their own preferences. So, not only going to get the short version on that answer, but this is going to be a shorter podcast. Yeah, chapter 3 is a shorter chapter. I want to go to dinner with my daughter, maybe even take her out to a movie. My wife and son are doing a musical right now. They're doing the last weekend of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, or whatever it's called. I get to miss that one tonight. I already went once, and it was awesome. And I'm going again. No, I think I went twice. And I'm going again tomorrow for the final performance. So, I thought I'd do something special with my daughter tonight because I'm such a good dad. Although I don't know if she wants to. She'd probably just rather be up in her room reading. But I'll make her do something with me, make me feel special. All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into chapter 3 of Brightside. Like I said, this is one of my favorite ones. I read this at Pork Fest, and I believe I read this at Brown as well. Actually, maybe not at Brown. Who knows? I read it at a couple of different places. Anyhow, hope you guys enjoy it. We'll talk a little bit about it when we get back. And again, no watching me anymore. I'm just cutting this shit right here. Take a look at this fancy picture. Yeah, we'll do that. Bam.
Chapter 3. A week before Brightside, I was selling BMWs and drawing too much attention. It's amazing how easy it is to sell when you can hear people's thoughts. If a guy was worried about draining his kid's college tuition, I'd tell him driving a 5 Series was an investment in his career. I'd tell a woman she deserved it when I knew her husband was slamming his secretary. Everyone came around. They didn't stand a chance. One guy didn't like my tie, looked like the one his father wore. I said my parents were coming for Christmas, told him I might spike my dad's drink so we can make it through dinner without him reminding me that my brother was a doctor. I didn't have a brother. The guy drove off in a convertible. I shattered every salesman record across the country. In the last month, I sold more cars than the entire Beverly Hills dealership. My monthly commission check was going to be more than most people made in a year. My dad called, asked if I'd heard about them taking 10 more people to Brightside. I changed the subject, said I was thinking about buying a house with Michelle. He started lecturing, so I hung up. 2 days before Brightside, Michelle was curled up on the couch. She was in her silky blue pajamas, both feet on my thigh, her head way down on the other end where I could barely hear her thoughts. She was drinking whiskey. She'd taken 2 pills, her brain hardly making a sound. Lily, my 8-year-old lab, whose sandy blonde hair matched Michelle's, was right below us on the soft white rug. All 100 pounds wedged between the couch and coffee table, her warm breath on my feet. It's exactly what I needed. Everyone at work had been talking about Brightside, how they were rounding up people all over the country. Thought thieves were real. Michelle just lay there watching her mind-numbing TV show, the one I couldn't watch with my last girlfriend, because the doctor looked like her last boyfriend, and she'd be thinking about how hard he used to fuck her. What she didn't get with me. But not my Michelle. She was somewhere else. In that perfect place, her thoughts a gentle sea. I opened my computer, the article about the beautiful mountain town of telepaths, how it was in everyone's interest that they be isolated. Thought thieves could destroy everything. Parents didn't want them in the schools or walking the streets. No one was safe. Halfway through the article, Michelle started doing the thing with her toes, tugging my sweats and letting them go. Louder than anything she'd said all night, Michelle thought about making another drink. She tucked her toes beneath her and pushed herself up. "Come here," I said. I clicked on the Excel spreadsheet and pointed at the number in bold. Left my hand there to block the tabs at the bottom of the screen. Waited for her to wonder why I had so many websites open and what I was trying to hide. Michelle laid her head against my shoulder, ran her fingers on my stomach. She didn't realize I was showing her something. Sweet as ever, she asked, "You about done?" "Yeah, just about." I pointed. "That's what I'll bring home next week." Her mouth dropped open, stayed there. "No way!" I wasn't trying to brag. I just wanted to let her know that we could buy the house. It's more than a down payment. Holy shit! Michelle's blue eyes dropped. Lost what little shine they had. She was thinking about the crappy Christmas present she'd gotten me. Her glass was empty except for some ice. I told her to make another while I finished up. Her thoughts were giving me a headache. Michelle got off the couch, was extra careful not to wake Lily. I went back to my laptop, started closing out sites. Homeland Security, National Safety Council, 6 others. Each called us domestic terrorists. All because one man said so. Our president was scared shitless when he found out what we could do. The possibility that one of us could sneak up beside him and learn his every word was a lie. The corporations, the corruption, all the money, the media. We never had a chance. An executive order was issued to trample our rights. And the biggest irony of all, 2 years before, Carl Pepper, a thought thief from Kansas, had single-handedly foiled the president's assassination. He'd been at a rally, heard the gunman's thoughts. There were celebrations, photos of Carl everywhere. But then someone realized there was no way Carl could have known the stuff that he knew. Thought thieves were branded enemies. Carl showed up on the cover of Time, in big red letters, "Thought thieves among us." It didn't take long for laws to pop up all over the country. First we were arrested, thrown in jail, but the regular prisoners petitioned to have us removed. That's when Brightside was created, an old mining town in California, more than a mile in the sky, high enough to make the normals feel safe. I'd been surfing in private, but I cleared the history before setting the laptop on the table. I didn't think Michelle would ever snoop, but there was no need to take the chance. There was no shortage of people who'd sell out friends and family for $50,000. Dad had taught me to trust no one. Michelle knew that I was a stickler when it came to my 2-drink limit, and put the bottle of Jack up in the cupboard. She came back so tall and graceful, my tipsy swan gliding across the floor, hardly a thought in her beautiful head. I dimmed the lights and took her hand, brought her beside me on the couch. Getting so close wasn't always wise, but Michelle was different, especially on her meds. I squeezed in behind her, the thinnest layer of clothes between us. Her hair, sweet vanilla, a home I never had. My right hand rested on the curve of her hip, my left arm under her neck, holding her closer, my hand on her chest, the thump of her heart. This is perfect. Michelle thought it was too. But bad thoughts started flying. Ones about how I would eventually leave her, move on like every other guy. I took her hand and got it scratching Lily behind the ear. Knew there was no way to keep thinking bad things with that tongue licking the air. Those 2 brown eyes so full of love. Michelle recovered. Kissed Lily's nose as a thank you. I massaged Michelle's shoulders, and she sank back against me. Let her mind go all dreamy, and she thought of something that tore open my heart. She loved me. And for the first time, I wondered if I could tell her the truth. The next day I heard my boss, Saul, thinking I was making too many sales. Before BMW, I could never stay at a job too long. A couple of months, tops. Just make some cash and quit. But I was so close to buying this house. I'd stayed there almost a year. To ease Saul's suspicious mind, I tanked the next 3 customers. "Boy wonder having an off day?" Saul laughed. "I'm only human, Saul." "Yeah." I knew my time there was up. I asked Saul if I could get my commission early. Said I wanted to get something nice for Michelle. Saul said he'd think about it. When I got home, Michelle thought I was acting strange. I'd been thinking about telling her the truth about me, but I didn't want to screw things up before I got my commission. Once the check cleared, we could take off, move anywhere, and I'd tell her everything. In public, Michelle spoke just like everyone else, saying thought thieves should be locked away. But I figured she'd change her mind if she knew I was one of them. Still, I was too stressed. I just needed to clear my head and hers. I poured her a drink and took her in the bedroom. Later, we were back in the living room, the lights off, a soft glow from Letterman because I was too comfortable to grab the remote off the coffee table next to our half-eaten dinner. Michelle and I curled up, our clothes back on. I felt calm, relaxed. And it wasn't just because Michelle took me to the place where all I can hear is myself saying, "Jesus, Jesus, Jesus, holy shit, that feels good." It was the closeness. The closeness to someone still awake, even if barely. Being able to lie with someone who wasn't constantly judging or whining or worrying. I wanted to live like this forever. Lily was down below us, back from her banishment to the kitchen, while Michelle and I had been busy. I was proud of her for not eating leftover steak. Then Lily's ears perked. She raised her head above the coffee table, looked toward the door. I got up on my elbow and reached for the remote. Lily got to her feet and I muted the TV. Thought I heard a whisper by the window. Michelle mumbled and I shushed her, said everything was okay. I concentrated hard, focused on the sides of my head, an inch above my ears. A man outside the window. "This is gonna be a blast. Fuck yeah, rock and roll. 3, 2, 1. Then bam, The window shattered and the door boomed, flecks of wood flying through the air. Michelle's head jerked back, smacked my mouth. Lily barking. I went for the steak knife, but Lily tipped over the table. The front door cracked open, a wall of yellow lights. I covered Michelle and looked at what just clanked on the floor, a metal canister rolling toward the couch. A blast of light snuffed out my sight. An unbelievable pop, and I couldn't hear. Everything was black. My shouts just whispers. Michelle was flailing, not knowing anything, falling off the couch. Then came another pop and more whispers. A loud, angry voice rushed toward me. He thought, "Take that." The blow at my back felt like a baseball bat at full speed. The pain immediate. I screamed, but I couldn't hear it. Just the shrill, ringing, piercing in my brain. I lost Michelle's thoughts, but felt her below me. Then fingers sunk into my arm, lifted me up, let me go. I bounced off the floor and my weight came down on my neck, paralyzed my body. The ringing continued. One hand, then the other wrenched behind my back, metal pinching skin. My vision came in, white and fuzzy. Couldn't make out shit except someone had turned on the lights. It took me a second to see the puffy clouds were the carpet up close. Then Lily came into focus less than a foot away. Her eyes open, looking at me. The rug turning red around her. "My dog!" I shouted. "What the fuck did you do?" The knee dug in on my neck, and I pushed back because it felt like I was dying. The guy on top of me just put more pressure. Made his forearm a lever between my arms and my back. Hoped I'd try something so he could fucking break me. I closed my eyes and grit my teeth, said okay, and gave up the fight. It got hard to breathe, even harder to think, my skull ready to crack. His knee let off enough for me to open my eyes, the ringing beginning to fade. I watched Lily whine like never before, her back legs kicking slower and slower. From behind me, Michelle screamed, "Let me go, Lily!" The ringing was gone, but I could only hear out of my left ear. No more Michelle, just Lily, and the sound of heavy footsteps shaking the floor. Someone yelled, "Gomez, get him over here!" All the pressure left my neck as Gomez told Hendricks, "Yes, sir." I got yanked up by my forearms, dragged 3 steps, screaming because that's all I could do. Gomez used his knee to knock my head the other way, then drop me down onto the carpet, right next to the knife that would have got us killed if I'd been a little faster. Gomez's knee came down on my neck, made it so I couldn't look away no matter how much I wanted. Hendricks had Michelle bent over the edge of the couch, her head smashed on the cushion, eyes shut, mouth open, somehow holding back a scream. Hendricks stood behind Michelle, wedged in tight between her trembling legs, his hand on her cranked back wrist. He wore all black, no letters anywhere, hid behind the helmet and face shield, ski mask beneath. His eyes were the warning. 2 black hollow points aiming at me. Thanks to the mask, I couldn't see Hendricks' lips moving, but he asked if I could hear him. Even then, all jacked up, I had the wits not to say shit. There was no question Hendricks was talking out loud when he said, "Tear this place apart. He's got something somewhere. Everybody does. Grab his computer." Michelle screamed, "Why are you doing this?" He told me to go ahead and tell her. Tell her what I could do. My vision was too clear, the biggest crack tearing through Michelle. "Joe, what did you do?" Hendricks shut her up with a twist of her wrist. I didn't see the mask move when he thought, 9 + 2. Say it and it'll all stop. I kept quiet, felt the puff of breath on my arm, Lily's nose on my elbow. Gomez must have seen it, because he thought it was some sad shit. Didn't get why Hendricks lit her up in the first place. Someone do something about this! Boots stomped across the floor, each one rattling my chest. All casual, like the guy was ordering coffee, he said, "Friendly fire." Then 2 blasts, each a jolt through my body. The whining was over. Michelle's face buried in the cushion, sobbing like Lily was her child. Hendricks let go of Michelle's wrist, put his hand on her waist. 9 + 2, fuckhead. I said nothing, and he said, "Fine, get this piece of shit out of here." The ski mask covered his smile, but I knew it was there. He thought about what kind of questioning he'd put Michelle through, how she'd do and say anything he asked once she found out the prison term for harboring a terrorist. Gomez jerked me to my feet, and Hendricks asked, "What's it gonna be?" All I had to do was say it. 9 + 2. Michelle didn't deserve any of this. I told her I was sorry, and then I said it. 11.
Oh, we're back. Poor Lily. That sucks. You know, that was a hard scene to write. I read a long time ago, you're not supposed to kill animals, right? You're not supposed to kill little kids or animals. I was like, sometimes you just have to. I did have a yellow lab, and he was still alive when I was writing this. And that's the dog I was definitely thinking about while writing. I was imagining him getting killed. And that's why it was pretty emotional for me. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the scene, enjoyed the chapter. In fact, as a little bonus for you, here's a little video of. Actually, I don't even know if I have it. I was gonna put out a video. I did a slideshow when my dog died. I was so sad. I had him for 14 years, and he was such a good dog. We made a little slideshow. You can put it on YouTube to share it. I don't know what happened with it, but here are a couple pictures while I'm talking. So yeah, this was Luke. He was a good boy. My son Jake still talks about him. The dog's been dead for I think 2 or 3 years, but Jake remembers him, and he always says, "Oh, Luke was such a good boy." And so, yeah, this is Luke. He was a good boy, but now he's dead, just like we all will be. Totally off subject, but one of the things I like to think about, well, not like to think about, but when I am thinking about death, or when I'm thinking about what I want to accomplish or whatever else, it's like, man, the length of time that you will be remembered and how short it is. I was like, because do you even remember your grandparents? Maybe they're still alive, and so hopefully you do remember them, or they haven't been dead that long. But let's say your great grandparents. You might have an idea of them. Maybe you've seen pictures, but you don't remember them. You don't even really care about what they really did with their life, like honestly, and how often would you think about them? Even if they were super awesome and accomplished a bunch of shit, they're still pretty much forgotten. So what does that give you? Maybe 60 years of being remembered, if that. Good luck. And then if you're an asshole, it's probably more like, well, I shouldn't say that, because if you're an asshole, your kids would probably remember you for a long time until they die, but then it's done. So let's say, I don't know, let's give you 40 years if you're lucky. So don't be an asshole, and understand that we're all gonna die. Doesn't matter what we really accomplish, because it's temporary. So enjoy the moment. That's what I'm trying to do. Fuck, but there I go again, giving advice when I told myself I wasn't going to, because who needs to listen to me, right? No, that's just something that helps me out. So sometimes I have friends that say sometimes the things I say help them out a little bit, so I'll share them. Anyhow, that's something that helps me. Back to the story. What else with the story? Oh, Joe's a salesman. That's something I've never done because I would be terrible at it. One, I don't, well, and that's probably one reason why I'm not good at marketing myself. Um, and I've always kind of had that approach, and I'm trying to change it about really put myself out there as an author. It's like, yes, I do want people to read my stuff, but I'm terrible at selling it. When I do festivals and stuff like that, I've gotten pretty good. I've had some cool experiences with other people who have helped me. I got to the point where I can go up to people and I'll tell them, I'll give them Brightside, like, read the first page. If you like the first, like, you'll know right away whether or not you like my writing style by the first page. Whether it's Twisted Reunion with Each Dawn I Die, or it's Brightside 25 Perfect Days, you'll know right away. And so I'm gotten better about that, but other than that, being a real salesman, no. Not something I've ever had experience with. But I could imagine that being able to read someone's mind would make you be able to kick ass at it, and that'd be super hard not to take advantage of it. So, can you really blame Joe for doing what he's done? No, I don't think so. Well, maybe you can. Maybe you're a judgmental motherfucker. Or maybe you're right, and maybe I should judge him. Or maybe he's imaginary, so who really cares, right? All right, let's go with that one. Let's go with that final answer. All right, I'm going to get out of here so I can enjoy some time with my daughter. And you guys have yourself an awesome night. Return next week for chapter 4. If you guys enjoy the podcast, please tell your friends, share it on social media, all that good stuff. Wow, you could even leave a review. That'd be awesome. Or even better, do that with one of my books. You can get all my books on Amazon, iTunes, audiobooks on Audible, same places all over. And then if you want to see, I should have everything cheaper on my website, which is marktullius.com. So check it out if you're interested. If not, come on here and get that shit for free. Also, I have a lot of other stuff on my YouTube channel, like individual short stories and stuff. So browse through that if you are interested. All right, guys. Have an awesome week, and I will talk to you later. Peace.